Okay, we are back for our next signature, and I've got some things laid out here. So we're going to start here with the base page. Again, out of the 8.5 by 11 pattern and solids, I'm using this piece, and we've cut this down to 8.25 inches by 8 5/8 of an inch. Now we still have some frames, and we're going to use them on this signature. And I'm putting in a pocket. Now I had to pre-make the pocket because I wanted to stay with this theme of paper right here. It matches this, and it matches what we're going to do on the left and right panels. But it was short, so out of the sticker sheet, so I centered this piece, glued it down. Out of the sticker sheet, I took this trimming. You know, these never stay back in here when you pull them out. I took that trimming and I cut pieces that would fill the gap on the end. So you should have this, if you want to do this, you should have this in your scraps, but you're going to come up. There's going to be, as you can see, I like to see just a thin border of red. I don't like big borders. You're going to have about 1/4 inch here on both sides. So bringing it just a hair off the end and then tack it down. And then out of the ephemera, we're going to use this. Now, I want to highlight the filigree that's on this. So I don't know if I'm going to do that with Stella or if I'm going to come in here with my gold pen and do it. I haven't used this in a while, so I don't know if it even will work. But we'll give it a shot. If it doesn't, then I'll use Stella. And again, I'm going to put in my row of blanks. So this is what's going to make the base page. Now here at the top, I'm taping it across the top and down the left side so that it gives you an opportunity to come in from underneath, put the photo in, and then tack down this corner to keep it in place. So if you're ready, let's get this done. Just a tiny bit of tape. You can't use big tape when you're doing this because it just really interferes with the ability to get a photo up in there. Now, if you're going to, I know somebody's going to ask me. Now keep in mind you've got 1/8 of an inch tape over here on this side. So if you cut the photo at about 4 inches in its width, it should slide in there and be behind these arches. And then you're going to cut this at about 2 1/8 so that it just comes up underneath this lip and hides behind that lip. Okay, so let's get this in. I'll have to test out my gold pen on a sample piece of paper to see if it even works. Oh, darn it. That didn't work. Okay, now I can pull this down where it's supposed to be. Tore off a little bit. I'll trim it out of there. Now, when you're putting your bling on, on this in particular because the two panels are only going to have a 1/2 inch score. There will not be that 1/8 of an inch hinge, so any bling you put down here is going to need to stay well inside the fold line for that 1/2 inch to lay over. So I am really cutting this short. So I'm coming in about 1 gem on the end, and I am, oh, I wonder if that will work. I think that will work. I'm almost a full gem in off this end. But what I am going to do is tuck this excess tape up underneath this gem. And here as well. Okay. And then I'm going to center this. Oops, don't slide on me. Okay, now let's work on our left and right panels. They are going to be the same. They're going to measure at 4.5 inches across. They will measure at, you can either take it down to 7 7/8 or you can trim it out to 8 inches in length. What I've done with this panel and this panel is these were significant pieces that were in my scrap. So I'm trying to use them so that they don't, for me, end up being a waste. Some of the thinner pieces I can use for tucks and pockets, but these were too significant. So I'm trimming them to what they end up being. All right, I want to center these. And like I said, these are going to have a 1/2 inch score. I'm bringing it down about 3/8 of an inch from the top. And that way it lines up about 3/8 of an inch off the bottom. I'm going to press where my bling is first, and then I will fold the rest of it over. Now I'll repeat for this side, but I want these at the same height, so I want to do it from this. I want to visualize from this side. Okay, so here on the inside, and now I'm regretting not having, I just realized what it was I was doing. Okay, it's not too late, and I'll show you why. Here's what I was planning on. We have a lot of little frames, and I wanted to use this signature to showcase some of these smaller frames, so that what you have here is an entire signature that you can come in with those small photos, or you can take and cut and trim. You like a certain element about a photo, but you don't like the rest, everything that's around it. So you always want to cut it out so you can showcase just that piece of the photo. Well, that's what you can do these for. But I failed to remember that these are going to have height on them. So I'm going to leave them in place, but I can score them from where we are. I'm going to add that 1/8 of an inch. And maybe I can't. Let's get down here a little bit. This will work. 1/8 of an inch so that it will handle the height. And that means we're going to have to trim our papers, but it's better that we do this now than to have a mistake here a little bit later on. A little harder to fold this when it's all put together. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Maybe I want to waste the undo. You know what? This is a lot more difficult than I expected. So here. I was trying to save my undo. Oh, bad girl, Charlie, bad girl. But I'm glad I caught it. And I am happy that I'm not making the mistake where I'm going to regret not having done this. I wasn't thinking. When I thought in my head earlier today when I was going to build this, I thought about just a 1/2 inch score line and hinge. And I didn't think it through all the way. I'll be out in my garden. I want to come to the 1/2 inch score line, about 3/8 of an inch off the top. And then here's my bump. I want to squeeze that over, and then we're going to bring this over. And now I have my 1/2 inch, or my 1/8 of an inch hinge, which I can tell already this is laying a lot better. So here we go. Okay, I'm going to return this in place. I hope I'm eyeballing this right. Okay. Wow, I am just I'm not functioning well. I am really messing this up. What's happened is this tape came, okay, just bear with me. I need to fold some tape under and get it out of the way. There we go. Yay. All right, opening this back up. Now that means we need to trim these again. So I need to take off roughly, I'm following this seam right here. So I'm going to take off what looks to be about 1/16 of an inch. All right. I need to be sharper than that, so I'm going to bring this one out. Okay. Now we will glue this in. Now I'm using the corresponding frames, but I'm kind of alternating them over here so that these two are opposite and then the smaller of the two green come in here. So it kind of balances the look out just a little bit. So I need to trim about 1/8 of an inch off on this one as well. Okay, so balancing these out, I'm going to tape across the top on the smaller ones only. Once you get your photo in there, then you can tack down the two corners. Does that make sense? This one, I am going to do the top because it's a little bit bigger. And then just this rounded edge right here because we want to make sure that we've got lots of room. And then that's going to, oh, it's got to go this way. That's right, because it wasn't wide enough. So that means I've got my left edge and my bottom have tape on it. And that means you would come in from this angle to put this in. Now we'll go over here and do the same. And I think on this one, I'm going to treat it the same way. I'm just going to do the top so that once you get your photo in there, you can tack down the corners with some glue a little bit down here on that bottom edge, and it will keep your photo in place. This one, I'm going to do, so come up, I think it would be easier if you came up from the bottom. So I'm going to tape the top. My brain is thinking here. And then just one, the left side edge over here. And treat this kind of as a family portrait page. And then when they lay over flat. If I had not have done that, taken the time to have done that and corrected my error, it wouldn't be laying as nice at all. So then I'm going to have to trim this down. That's fine. I've got room here on this edge to trim it down. Now, I took one of the 8x8s that had this pattern on it, and I cut the pattern, it's this way, I cut this pattern in half. And so you can use both sides like this if you want. You can use both sides like this, or you can use it on the opposite. But I think I'm going to stay with this. So I need to trim down, and I'm going to come in off this edge here. So that will fit in there. And then this one, I will come and trim off this edge here. Oh, it looks like I needed to trim this one a little bit more. So hold on. A little bit better. Now, right now I don't have any tendency to do anything with this. I think that this would be another one of those excellent places that you can take some small photos and maybe alternate them in here, whichever squares that you want. So that's why I'm leaving this alone. Now, this is going to have a bottom tuck. The bottom of this, now I've misplaced my ruler. Oh, there it is. The bottom part of the tuck flap is going to be 6 5/8 of an inch by 8 1/2 inches. And the reason I'm expanding my width on this is because when we put this on here, we want to be able to enclose the edges of these flaps. Does that make sense? So that you don't, they're not hanging out beyond the flaps. So again, it is 6 5/8 of an inch by 8 1/2 inches. You have a 1/2 inch score, and then you've got a 5/8 of an inch score. So when we turn this over, I want that hinge on the top side, so we're going to line this up, and we're going to bring this bottom right up to the 1/2 inch score line. And then I want to encourage that 5/8 score line. See, now you have a nice flat bottom edge to take in everything. Now, the top piece is going to measure 5 1/4 inch. Hold on here, I want to just get really close to my eyes. They're getting bad. 5 1/4 inches, again, by the 8 1/2 inches. And you're going to score it at a 1/2 inch, and you're going to score it at 5/8 of an inch. And once again, you're going to bring your work right up to that 1/2 inch score line. And you're going to make sure that you are balanced from side to side. Okay, now as you can see, I've got my magnet sitting here. It's all ready to go. Now, when you lay this down, please make sure that your flaps are lining up evenly on the edges, that they're not sitting cattywampus, crooked. Okay. Now, on the inside of the top piece, we are going to use out of the 12 by 12 pack, you're going to use the candy cane side of this. And I'm going to tape it in due to the magnet. I don't believe I just did what I did. Did you see what I did? That is not the side I wanted. And I had a specific reason for that. Ah! Yes, I'm trying to save my tape. I discovered that if I come from the back side and loosen the tape from back there, that the tape will stay on the paper. And then I can come in and lay it back down. And this, I can reuse the tape, and it's not a waste, because that's a lot of tape. Ta-da! Okay. I want this side. Now, if you prefer that, that's fine, but wait till you see what I have done. Watch the full video before you do anything. And if you want to change paper tactics, you can. Okay, so then what I did was I trimmed a piece that is 2 inches by 4 5/8 of an inch. I put tape on, skinny tape, on the top and the bottom. So if I'm at 4, so I'm at 4 1/4 is my center. And then I am going to center this right in there. And what this becomes is a nice snuggy belly band so things don't fall out. Then from my scraps, I pulled out this piece. And then from the ephemera, we have this piece. The stocking with all the greenery. I have to slow down. I might be off the edge, and I don't want to tape this closed. I don't know if I got glue there or not. Okay, good to go. That's why I wanted this side of the paper. Okay, now we're going to do the bottom on the inside. This is from the 11 by 8.5 patterns and solids. It was a leftover piece, so it is going to come up short down here at the bottom, but we're going to put a pocket in here to take care of that. And I got this it was left over from a previous cut. So like I said, if you want to watch, is the previous cut's coming up here shortly. Yep. I got to bring this to me just a little bit. I can't see my seam. Okay, there we go. All right, so then our pocket. Down here, I just saw there's a punch out right there. We'll make it go away. Okay, so this pocket is going to measure 2 inches by 8.5, and it's going to go right here across the bottom. And then I took a piece that had the soldiers on it. Soldiers, not crackers. Well, they are kind of soldiers. And I trimmed it out so that it would fit here. But then I took the sticker sheet, the stars, and kind of did my best to center it. And I need to trim some, well, it's going to get covered. I'm not worried about it then. And centered it. And then from the ephemera, I'm taking this soldier and he's going to go right over the one that's sitting there, and he'll sit like this. And then I'll run the bling across the back. I had to put the sticker sheet on first and foremost because when I was taking it off the sticker sheet, I tore it in the middle. So I needed to put it all back together. So I put it on my paper. And now we'll get some tape. There it is. And this is going to need to go down first because the nutcracker is going to stand above it. And this I can take literally from end to end because there isn't a seam or a hinge, anything to interfere. All right, now this guy will go in. So I'm going to glue right up to his shoulders. And then I'm going to set him right there. All right, and it forces his head to come forward, which is great because then you're not nicking it when you're putting stuff in the pocket. All right, the outside. This is from the 12 by 12, and that's where this trim came from. This will sit here, and I purposely trimmed it. There was about 1.5 inches or thereabouts on each side that I trimmed off because what I wanted was deck the halls and then fa la la. I wanted it on this top flap. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this in. And we're going to run some bling across the bottom. And unfortunately, I'll get you as far as taping the back, but I still can't put it in the album because I am still waiting on some Stickles to dry. I'm going to need 2. And they're taking their sweet time. All right, then up here, we're going to put in the Christmas tree out of the ephemera. There was something else I wanted to do, so having the fa la la didn't make a difference, did it? There is this filigree that I got with my paper collection from Scrap and Create, and I wanted to be able to use it, and I was thinking about using it here. It may not work here, so I'm going to hold off on adding these. Let's get to this bottom one. All right, from the 11 by 8.5, this is where the trim came from for this bottom inside. This was the piece that I trimmed for the front. Now I'm going to be taping that on. So bear with me here just a bit. I have just a little bit of tape holding that on, so I'm going to put some additional tape over the top. Now, here across the bottom, well, before I forget, hold on here, 2 shakes. Okay, so across the bottom, we're going to have a pocket on the front of this. This pocket is going to be at 2 inches by your 8.5 inches. And I'm going to put it right here at the bottom. And then I took that same trim from up here, is going to go down here. And then we're going to add some bling, and I do believe I have to cut it. Yep. And then I wanted to take out of the ephemera this row of stars, and also from the ephemera I'm taking Christmas Wishes and Mistletoe Kisses, and it will go right here with the stars back behind it. I'm just going to do the centers. It's not going anywhere once I get it down there. Okay. Now I got to look at my placement, which means I'm not gluing down the word Merry Christmas, everything below it. All right, so then the only thing that I have left to decide is I want this, but I wanted to use this, but I don't think this is going to be an appropriate place for it. Could put it there. This is going to be a tuck. Nothing's going to be permanently put there, so I really want to use that. I think this would be an elegant place to use it. So I'm going to take some glossy accents, and I'm just going to daub a few places. Should fix pretty quickly. So I think then I can go ahead and I'll just put this here. All right, let's turn it over. Let's get our tape on, and I'll show you where it should sit, but unless that stuff is dried, I'm not going to be able to put it in the album. Okay, so this is your signature. And I can't close this yet because I think oh, it's almost done. It's almost done. So I will then put in the signature that we've already built that will go in here. And then this signature is going to sit back here like so. So pull your tape. If you're not using glitter glue, then you should be able to put this in right away. By the time I get to this signature, I will be able to put the other two in. So if you want to hold off until then, I will go over that with you, show you what I did. In the meantime, I have more than enough paper. So I've already gone ahead and covered these two pullouts. that we've got on a couple of these pages. So I covered it that side, and I covered it on this side. That side and this side. We're going to have a lot of paper left over. Okay, so I'm just going to hang tight. On the next video, I'll install my 2 signatures, and you can hang out with me and do it then if you want. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.